मेरी सिलेक्शन हो गई है।
हाँ
मेरी सिलेक्शन हो गई है।
अब ये किसी ने भेजा है मेरे पे, छोड़ा है?
नहीं नहीं, मुझे यकीन नहीं आ रहा कि मेरी सिलेक्शन हो सकती है।
यानी मैं बेवकूफ हूँ?
नहीं, मैंने कब कहा?
A movie that has been consistently delayed. A movie that features a star kid who made his disastrous debut in 2008 and has been cast in the shadows for years. A trailer that was absolutely piss poor, filled with AI prompts and the worst digital renders known to mankind, and it still generates more hype than every release that came out this weekend. Do you realize how big the hype for horror is in this country? I don't know when producers will wake up. Imagine if we made something good for a change. Vikram Bhatt is an interesting film director who has had the most odd career in the last 3 decades or so. A product of nepotism, of course, having benefited with his association with the Bhatt camp, Vikram rose to fame through the late 90s and 2000s, especially with movies like Gulam and Raz. The man is known for horror films today, but he made a range of genres that included thrillers, films with social relevance, and even comedy. No matter how much the man is ridiculed for his technique and his obsession with AI today, if you were to look at his 3 horror films, no, I am not talking about the atrocious Creature 3D or Mr. X. I can't believe those were even real projects. I'm specifically talking about 1920 with an absolutely scary Ada Sharma, Shapit, which was Aditya Narayanan's debut, and Haunted 3D that released in 2011 with a much more young and lean Mimoh, in which crazily Mimoh's performance was so good that Vikram Bhatt dubbed his entire role. These movies, even after so many years, were actually solid horror films with the spooks and a compelling story too. Last night, just to catch up on the storyline of this franchise, even though this is a spiritual sequel, when I saw Haunted 3D again, I genuinely got impressed by the tale of the creepy ghost of Ayyar that haunts Meera Sabarwal, only for Rehan to time travel and attempt to change fate. Here we are, however, after 15 years with the spiritual sequel of Haunted 3D, titled Haunted 3D Echoes of the Past, with Mimoh in the lead again, and this movie represents everything that is wrong with modern filmmaking today. Maha Akshay Chakraborty, he plays a popular film director here from Mumbai. He travels to a fictional Maniktal village in Himachal Pradesh after getting his heart broken by the woman that he loved. The royal palace that has been transformed into a hotel, of course, in cliché horror fashion, has an ominous presence, and our man Dev here goes in to stay there while every possible red flag is flung his way. He encounters a woman by the name of Sunehri, played by Chetna Pandey. What is the connection between the two characters? What is the origin story of Sunehri that she feels so traumatized and haunted in this desolate palace? And why does everyone around Dev assume that he is slowly losing his mind? Why couldn't the makers shoot in a real palace? Are filmmakers who have spent decades in the film industry really that broke today that they can't invest in one set? And most importantly, in the terrible filmmaking dispersed in the frames, is there actually a decent storyline somewhere in this 2-hour and 19-minute saga? Here's me telling you the good and bad aspects of the film so that you guys can ultimately decide whether to watch Haunted 3D in theaters or not. I can't believe this movie has houseful theaters. You know, when people say that they know what the audience wants, they have absolutely zero clue. This movie opened to 2.5 crores at the box office. No one predicted that. Okay, let's get to the review. The good. Potential with origin story. Can you believe that in this absolute BS that I was seeing on the big screen, the absolutely atrocious filmmaking, the terrible 3D glasses I wore as the frames in front of me flickered from the sides as if they have not even been rendered properly, I could still notice that if someone took this project a little more seriously, it actually had the potential to be a hidden gem with a compelling storyline. While all the conventional beats of horror are followed and develop little to no interest, there is something interesting about the origin story of Sunehri that develops an interesting arc for the ultimate antagonist. The tropes are elements that you have seen in countless number of films, but this subplot only gets enhanced due to the presence of one actor who is genuinely brilliant as someone vile and cunning. I don't want to give away details about his role, what I absolutely loved him in, but he is a television actor who I specifically loved in a very iconic character from the Mahabharata. In a film otherwise inundated with terrible acting performances, this man appears out of nowhere and suddenly the movie seems somewhat watchable. You know, you've got everything from a royal palace, greed associated with power, romantic associations with other empires, sabotage and betrayal, and to top it all, powers and magic that aim to squander such ties. And if these predictable tropes were just done with earnestness and not with the backdrop of possibly the worst technical effects ever seen in film, then there would be something to praise in this film. The rest of it is absolutely atrocious, and one of the main reasons why I tuned into the film, actually two, was because I was curious why the audience are swarming in for this film specifically with all the movies that are here to offer this weekend, and most importantly, to see my comeback on the big screen. I like a good comeback story and I was rooting for Mimoh, but there is little to, well, nothing to rave about with this blast from the past. Let's get to why. By the end of this film, I was just pulling my hair and just waiting to rush out of the theatre. The underwhelming aspects. Everything else. Every exterior shot of this film is either an AI prompt blasted on the big screen or is some of the most poorly rendered digital backgrounds that will even put desktops on Windows 98 to shame. The reason why it becomes clearly obvious that the exterior shots are AI generated is because the shots only carry on from 4 to 8 seconds, and as the technology is still evolving, a car going through Rajasthan is presented as if it were going through the Sahara Desert and Himachal Pradesh as if it was some Scandinavian country. What's even more hilarious is that a Maruti Suzuki car would be presented on the big screen with a particular number plate, but another shot capturing the same car would have the number plate muddled, lacking any kind of consistency with the previous shot. What's even more funny and clearly a sign that something is AI generated is that the car would be presented driving in the middle of the road, while clearly it should be placed on one side as it is a two-way street. The road trip is fully digitally created, and as most AI generated images or videos still cater to the aesthetic of the West, motels also have neon signs like they do in North America. And if a resort is to be presented near the lake, it will have the title Lakeside Resort, because that is the creativity associated with AI integration in this film. I'm not opposed to the technology enhancing the frames. I'm not a purist that way. But when every detail is merely a prompt in filmmaking, then it's just not art anymore. You know how you know that Mimoh in this movie is a successful director? Because his movie in the film is about to release titled Laila Majnu, and his brief to his employee when looking at his own poster is make it look more Gen Z. He is frustrated that everything bad or deception only happens to him. The palace calls him. There is this inner voice that leads him there. And what's hilarious is, and this is true for most tropes in horror, that the characters keep on heading towards danger while noticing every possible red flag. There is a creepy old homeless man warning him. There is a thanedar taking care of the palace without a hand warning him ki mahal jagne laga hai raat ko. But no, Mimoh has this inner voice that leads him wherever there is a sign of something paranormal. Nothing is more offensive than characters from the movie standing in a fully digitally created mansion and one of the characters stating, "Ye to bilkul Mughal Azam jaisa set hai." A lot of the 3D effects remind me of the school trips that we went to Pragati Maidan for. There used to be a screening of a 10-minute 3D movie that would have random jump scares of animals coming on the screen and attacking the audience. And 16 years later, I must confirm that those films were more creative than the jump scares dispersed here. The interactions with Sunehri confirming with Dave that she knew he would come after so many years because, well, you know, the stars were aligned in a particular way had me rolling. This is my assessment of her describing the placement of planets, because it's a lot of mumbo jumbo to make sense of why Dave and Sunehri are even connected to each other. What's hilarious about this movie, and I know this is not allegory for the political climate of the country, but the characters keep on describing right wing and left wing with adjectives, two wings of the house. But I could not help but feel like it's a commentary on the political spectrum of this nation too. One that is dilapidated and one that will cage you if you ever enter it. Make whatever you want with this assessment, but I know Vikram Bhatt is not thinking this deep with Haunted 3D. The dialogues of this movie are next level, with a character called Titu saying, "What the man?" or Mimoh saying, "What the fish?" Or my favorite, "When the impossible becomes possible, then the only thing to believe is the impossible." Or one more, "उसकी कहानी तुम जान सकते हो, लेकिन वो नहीं जान सकता कि तुम उसकी कहानी जानते हो."
अब आपकी नजर कौन से अवार्ड पे है?
The AI animation continues even when the origin stories are described, and it seems to be the new normal across the board with movies, especially when they want to do like a origin story or like a flashback. It's now all AI prompts. The songs, even though melodious, comes out of nowhere, and well, it's tough to get emotionally invested when you know that Mimoh is clearly serenading a spirit. The most unintentionally funny aspect of this movie is actually the villain and its depiction. I've said this countless number of times that when the main villain is essentially just CGI goop, it stops becoming scary as this digitally rendered being just follows humans around. What's even more funny is that the ghost, for reasons you will explore in the movie, is actually blind. So the characters in the movie easily avoid the ghost by merely just walking bare feet. क्या घोस्ट बनेगा रे तू? He looks like the skeleton who almost had the Sohagrat in Jani Dushman. And I mean, the characters literally avoid him by just stepping on the side, leaving his eyesight. He does not even have a good sense of smell to notice people. Isn't the point of being a ghost also that you have, well, powers beyond humans? I mean, a blind ghost can still be intimidating and scary. If you ever get the time, see this movie called Don't Breathe. The antagonist played by Stephen Lang is so terrifying because beyond the character trait of the villain being blind, the atmosphere created and the choreography set in the house keeps you on the edge of your seat and develops a palpable anxiety within you. Here you have a Thanedar who becomes Spider-Man momentarily, and I just can't help myself but laugh at the series of events aimed to scare the audience. The film is so badly edited that there are literally points in the film where the characters are paused on the screen and are simultaneously delivering dialogues too. File अच्छे से export भी नहीं हुई है इस picture की. The reason why the 2011 Haunted 3D was even scary was because the mansion seemed like a lived-in space, because the ghosts were played by real actors with practical makeup. The baritone on a CGI bootleg Skeletor is just not scary, and this is where one realizes that some filmmakers have become so obsessed with the results of AI that, well, they've forgotten why some of their movies were celebrated by the audience years ago. Mimoh mostly sports a concerned face throughout the film and is getting ragdolled, pushed and shoved every opportunity that Vikram Bhatt gets. Chetna Pandey similarly gets absolutely manhandled in this movie, tormented, crying and yelling, and you, by the end of all the yelling, in the most terrible CGI backdrops, just get so exhausted. While this movie is not even that long. While Hollywood is laying their bets on young talent and producing movies like The Backrooms and Obsession, we are still creating slop like Haunted 3D. Not knowing that we have an audience over here desperate for compelling horror to tell stories from our land without the soft landing approach of comedy. We need the creepy, genuinely scary and effective horror back in Hindi cinema because this is comparable to absolute trash at this point. चलो मेरे doppelganger की opening तो solid निकली. Life has come to a point where we celebrate such small victories. And that was the video, guys. Write down in the comments below what you thought about Haunted 3D. Please don't forget to follow me on Instagram. The handles are right in front of you. Follow me at JammyPants4. Also, please support us by smashing the like button and subscribing to our channel for weekly content ahead. Thank you for watching.